Okay, let's get Daisy. Daisy! Come on, inside. Morning, and welcome back to the Rainy Bonsai blog. Um, I'm Jamie Harrington. I'm the host. YouTube is not. Oh, okay. YouTube's just being fussy. Sorry about that. Um, where was I? Just gonna start from the top. Hey, hi, welcome back to the Rainy Bonsai blog. I'm Jamie Harrington, the host of this channel, and I'm excited to have you guys here with me today. Like I promised yesterday, I'm coming back to continue working on this spruce. My goal is to more or less be ready for moss by the end of this week. So we'll see how that actually goes. The main goal today is going to be to continue on with needle plucking on, I believe it's going to be my primary trunk and this right trunk. I'm also going to go ahead and remove any wire that's biting or is ineffective, so that when I'm putting on my fine detail wire later on, that's going to be easier. When I'm plucking my needles, I'm going to be focusing on the stuff growing off the bottom of the branch and then about a ½ inch into all of the joints of my side branching. Without further ado, I'm going to get going. Oh, man, what's going on with YouTube? Why is it yelling at me today? And back to OBS. Okay. Like usual, I've got a box that I'm just repurposing just off screen here so that I can dispose of my waste. And I'm just going to start here with the low branch on the accessible side. Now, I did prune this back earlier in the summer, so I'm gonna pretty much just leave these new shoots untouched. By coming through and plucking the needles out of these joints, it'll discourage new buds from setting there. It might still happen, but the goal here is to kind of control and redirect where future growth could pop up. Okay. Say, oh yeah, that piece definitely comes off then. Set that aside for scrap. So that wire's good. Continuing on with my low branch. Now the perk of plucking the needles off the bottom is you're going to be less likely to crush needles whenever we're putting our fine wire on. These guys are pretty compact and pretty tiny, so it's very easy to crush them, especially if we're using a bigger gauge. Not that I ultimately will for this. I'm expecting to mostly apply 16 and 18 when it's time. Yeah, I just got back from my morning watering rounds. It's always fun getting to um, go and feed the koi in the morning. It's kind of a highlight for me. Always so happy to see me, even if I'm still a zombie while I'm out there. Not my koi, I just get to keep an eye on them while their owner travels. Oh, that'll be nice. One little bud out. Now I am going to be pretty minimal with any pruning at this stage. It's more going to be taking out something that needs to be removed. It's pretty late in the summer for me to be doing any hard trimming on this. Spruce don't like it too much, but for now, or earlier in the season, kind of needed to be done by the solstice at the latest, really. I came through and did some shoot selection and pruned back the tips on this. Okay, that's looking good. And, for spruce, I really wouldn't recommend using tweezers to pluck the needles. I think it already kind of takes forever to go through and pluck them. And the waxy layer on their needles can actually be kind of a pain to grab onto, even with just your fingers. Particularly annoying with tweezers. Don't want to shorten that. Not right now, at least. So I'm just gonna reset my music here. Oh gosh. What is going on with YouTube? So grateful nobody's actually watching this right now. But it's not fun watching me adjust this. Okay. YouTube, I hope you can behave. I'm counting on you. So it's Wednesday, so I'm going to be meeting up with some of the local folks tonight. We like to get together on Wednesdays and just kind of help each other with our collections. Now, I can't always make it, which I've been a bit bummed about, but that's more because I am kind of busy with bonsai work whenever they're getting going, and or I've been doing it all day and kind of just get to have a moment to myself. structure on that. Re-separate those. So if you have any questions about what I'm up to, I'll just let me know in the chat. I'm just gonna kind of keep working on my needle plug-in. So one thing I appreciate about kind of coming through and deciding what of my old wire should come off before it goes in a show is it's an opportunity to like honestly judge my skills and where they were at the time that the wire was put on. And just being able to look at a spot and say, no, I can do that better this year than I did last year. Or it doesn't quite have good contact there, it's a bit of an eyesore, let's redo that. It's actually really rewarding, but also a great opportunity to go hands-on and get more of that practice. So that's part of what I'm doing as I'm coming through and doing my needle plucking, is just kind of judging and evaluating the wire that I already put on here and seeing, okay, should I redo this? Was that effective? What would make it look nicer? Still just kind of plucking all the needles off the bottom of my branches, but I'm also clearing about a 1/2 inch into all the joints where my side branches come off, so that hopefully we won't get any crotch growth popping up and setting in. Mom? I'm still just keeping up with that needle plucking. Readjusting some old wire. Making sure I'm not crushing any needles as I go. I'm plucking needles off the bottoms of my branches and about a 1/2 inch into the joints. And any pruning I'm doing is primarily aesthetic at this stage. It's pretty late in the year to come cutting back the growth tips on spruce. So I'm only taking what needs to go. Oh, hi. Welcome, BD. I'm sorry, I didn't have my eye on the chat. Wow, from Bangladesh. Well, thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, I'm in the United States, Colorado to be specific. This is one of my native trees. Can I ask what trees are pretty popular where you're at, BD? I understand. Well, thanks for joining the stream today. I appreciate it. That one, I spin it around. Yes, start here. So any damaged needles are definitely going. That's a big part of show prep, is making sure that what's here is going to look luscious. So any of my 2-year needles, I'm going to go ahead and get out of there because they're at the point of their life cycle where they're starting to look raggedy and thinking about falling off. And we don't necessarily want to display that. Looks like on this section of the crown in particular, some of those old needles are definitely looking rougher. And I know this side actually gets a little bit more sun than the rest, so I'm not too surprised by that. Oh, I'll quit repositioning. It's not the goal at the moment. Plucking. We are plucking right now. Wire does need to go. Let's see, where do you go to there? I think. It's actually a little unsure. One of, I think, the best parts about bonsai is the fact that personal space quits being a thing when you're hands-on with the trees. It's like you just kind of have to figure out how to do what you have to around them. I think that's kind of fun. Intimate, maybe, is the right word. Okay, I see some folks have joined the stream. If you have any questions about what I'm up to, I'm happy to chat with you. I'm just kind of working away at some needle plucking though, taking off any wire that, I don't want to let others see. I'm not going to be able to get to the wiring today, but I'll at least get to a point where I'll be able to over the next couple days. I do have to leave in an hour or so that I can go visit a couple of private collections around town and take care of the trees while their owners are out. It's gotta come off. Sorry, this one has started to cut into both branches, so I'm just getting it out of here. Already looks better. So the spots where I'm leaving needles are going to be more likely to set buds, and that's why I'm getting these out of the junctions of my side branches. I'm also making sure to come and get wire off the bottom of all of my shoots, or not wire, but the needles off the bottoms of all my shoots. And that's going to be so that it's easier to get my detail wiring on later without crushing needles. But I'm going to be pretty minimal with any plucking off the top. And that's because it is going into a show and I want to preserve as much foliage as I can for the sense of fullness that'll provide. But anything that looks scraggly or rough, I'm just going to go ahead and get those old needles out. It's ultimately going to have to come this way. You know, the revisiting process on these is actually pretty nice because you can sort of revisit what you were doing and see, okay, how did that work, and correct, retweak it or tweak it. Um, Kind of start that refinement process. Now, this tree's only really been worked for 1 year, so it definitely has a ways to go still. I know y'all can't see what I'm doing back here, and I apologize for that. It really is just endless needle plucking. But if you have any questions, just jump in the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on it. Not one. Okay, the bottoms look good there. That. Gotta turn this so I can see. That has to be reconsidered entirely. Just kind of heating that. Different ways. There we go. It's a little more compact now. How's that look from the camera? Nice tweak. Okay. And then scissors. In theory, you should be able to see this a little bit better. I am still just keeping up with my needle plucking. Over the weekend, I'm gonna do some soji. I have to go get a shop vac first. I'll try to make a actual video on how that's done instead of doing it on a live stream. I just feel like it'd be rude to have that vacuum going and the microphone, you know? Yeah, this is a nice one. I'm glad to be revisiting this. One thing I'm really trying to think about is letting my 4 trunks here all kind of stand on their own. Like, yes, they should contribute to a nice full silhouette, but that wire's not doing crap. So what are you attached to? Ground to here. Hard. Okay, so all my wire from this point up is going to have to come off because my structural wire is really biting in here. It is time to be addressed. I'm starting out by just kind of coming through and making some snips all on sort of like the same plane of my wire, about a full revolution apart from each other. And that kind of starts loosening it up so that when I now come through from this other side, it'll just kind of start falling away. And the trick here is to do it without damaging the bark. You might have seen me unwinding some of the shoots, but because this has a considerable size to it, I'm not going to do that because it's likely to damage my bark. With spruce though, the young shoots are pretty movable, which is why you can unwind them. So, for instance, this pad in the back y'all can't see. I don't mind just uncoiling that as long as I'm keeping a firm contact on that wire to stabilize it. If there's any considerable thickness to it, I'm going to be sure to cut that wire. Now on the plus side, it'll really make coming through plucking needles in this area easier too. I'm just going to rotate this a hair so I can see what's going on. That just leaves what's biting in this spot. Oop. Next, turn that back and back to needle plucking. Now you may notice that I don't have a towel over the top of my pot. That is something that I would typically do, but because I'm planning to go get a shop vac and really soji this tree before the show, I'm not too worried about it, because it really just needs to make it Friday. It's like this needs to come off too. I'm gonna say this is just too thick to unwind. Looks better. And the reason I took all the wire off on this point up was because my structural wire was really biting in. And that is something we want in spruce because that really will help it to lignify. But I wanted to address it as part of the show, and so I'm just going to kind of redo everything up this way so it looks nicer. It's not going to be today though. Today we're just trying to finish up with the needle plucking so that it is easier to come through without fine wiring later. Okay. So oh, that'll make a nice pad. Okay, I'll leave that. I was debating shortening that branch, but honestly, the foliage is kind of all perfectly proportioned to each other. Spin this. I'm plucking those needles off the bottom. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Just kind of enjoying a moment of tranquility with my tree here. I'm plucking those needles off the bottom and about a ½ inch into my joints between my branching and my side branches, or my trunk and my side branches. Oh, that's all funky. What's going on here? I think that has to go. And the reason that had to go is it was a bar branch. With Yamadori, we typically want to preserve as much as we can, especially in the crowns. But you know, I feel like sometimes that looks like you just never do any editing of shoots that pop up in a crown, and I really dislike what that looks like down the road. Like it just kind of looks unkept up with to me. And that's one thing that, you know, I get the why it's not done, but sometimes I wonder if it's just kind of not wanting to stay on top of it, like giving yourself an excuse not to come and pluck needles, you know? Or do shoot selection. Because we want our shoots to alternate, but if you know you get to your crown and you just let it do whatever it wants, it quickly just looks raggedy. But we'll fix that. Now, what can I do? That out. That out. That's nicer. Okay, and then yes, the answer is take you out, take you out. Good, and 2 forks over that way. I'm not worried about that. Nope, that wire's gotta come off. Missed that earlier. Yes. Just bring that back. My needle plucking. Yeah, so this tree was collected, I believe, about 4 years ago. And it was given to me last summer. Summer before last. I think it was last summer that I first sat down and worked on this tree. And, you know, I know clump style spruce aren't too popular, but as I walk around here and really look at the young, well, not young stuff, but the stuff that grows in the mountains, a lot of it is clump type. Like you'll walk up on what you think is 2 or 3 trees and start really looking, and they're all sharing a root base just under the soil. And it's just kind of built up around them. And something else I would not have considered is it's not, you don't see it all the time, but these guys will ground layer themselves. So you might find what looks like a nice tree and like go consider like digging it up, and you start poking around and you realize it's just a branch coming off a tree 5 feet away, and it has like a teeny tiny little bit of roots going into the soil. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like the way you see them be planted in yards and stuff, you might not think of them as like a communal tree, But I think these guys definitely like having someone else around, like another one of their species. Nope, that's the Sears needles. Don't pluck those. Clean up the joint a little bit. Try and avoid having buds set there in the future. Some needles off the bottom. And I missed that shoot. So that is 3 of the trunks down. And for now, I'm just doing needle plucking and removing wire that needs to be redone. Maybe reposition a branch or something if it looks like it would really benefit, and I think, or my eye kind of sees what it needs to do. I'm thinking about making it easier for myself to come through and do that detail wiring at a later point in time. Hoping to get that done in the next week or so. But before we move on to the wire, I'm gonna do a video showing you guys how to soji. So if that's interesting to you, you like to learn, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm expecting that to go up sometime next week. I'll get it recorded over the weekend. And hey, if you're unaware, I'm actually giving away a 4-piece tool set on this channel. If you check the description below, there's a link to the video with the giveaway. Full disclosure, not everything's brand new. I'm actually kind of sending out some of my stuff into the wild, a mixture of like what I've been using the last few years through my training and some of the new tools that I'm going to be offering on my web store. I'm personally excited for it. It's a lot of work has gone into building things up for my business, and I'm pretty lucky that during the day I get to go hands-on with quite a few private collections around town. And it's my hope that with time, the YouTube channel will help out a little bit more with the down season, like winter time when there's not a lot of work to go do. As somebody working in bonsai, it really is because I just woke up one day and decided there's nothing else I could do with my life. I'm not here to get rich, right? Like, this is very much a labor of love. I'm so glad. that this has been an option for me. And I'm glad y'all are part of this journey. Like, I hope that y'all have been learning some stuff, even if it's just from the other guests on the channel. I know I don't have too much wisdom to drop at this stage, but we've had some really awesome folks come on and share what they know. There's the scissors. I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. I'll see you guys in just a moment. Okay, thank you for your patience. I'm back. I'm just gonna continue on with my last trunk here. Spun the tree around from where we were a moment ago, which is gonna make it easier for me to get to some of the spots I couldn't reach from the other side. I'm really trying to clean up my junctions so that it'll be easier to come through with detail wiring later. If you have any questions about what I'm up to, just let me know in the chat, but I'm just gonna kind of chill out with the music if that's all right with y'all. Good one. So, have you guys been working on any show prep? I'm trying to squeeze time in for my own trees, but thankfully I've been doing some client work around town, helping get some other folks' stuff ready for the show. So, just trying to chip away at mine when I have a moment. If you'd be interested in following along with the progress over the next couple weeks, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And hey, I'm giving away a tool roll right now. If you check the description down below, there's a link to the video that'll tell you how to enter. That giveaway ends tonight at midnight, so don't delay if you're needing to get some tools. That's good. That shoot's not gonna make it. Just take that out. Yes. Okay. Reaching on through. What's the structure of that looking like? Oh, that's funky. Take the clump growth out, and I guess just leave the rest of that. I'm gonna spin this. And you may notice I don't have a towel on top of my soil. That's something I would typically do. However, I'm planning on coming through and sow-geeing over the weekend. I'm gonna make a video showing you guys how that's done. So I'm not too worried about it. At this point, it's not gonna be down long enough to cause any fungal issues. That great. See some new folks have joined the stream. Welcome. I'm just doing some needle plucking and removing any wire that has to come off as I go. If you have any questions, just let me know. But I'm just kind of chilling out with the music and doing what's got to be done. I'm gonna be real. I really needed to sit down with this tree today. I have been so stressed. What was the move and the wedding? Like, I'm kind of barely keeping it together, if I'm being honest. And going hands-on with the tree is always helpful for that. That must go. That's good. So it is the two of you together. That's what I was afraid of. Looks better. Gotta get shortened there. So part of what I'm doing when I'm coming through and removing wire is I'm trying to take a good look from the front and make sure that where my wire terminates is not visible. It's one of those little things that, like, if you don't know to look for it, you would never notice it. But then once your eye kind of starts cluing in, whether or not you see kind of that rough edge of wire, it starts to really draw your eye. And because this is going into a show, I really want the wire I have on to be very aesthetically pleasing. So right now I'm just making it easier to come through and do some fine wiring at a later point in time. It's been approximately 4 hours of needle plucking. No, 3. Closer to 3 hours, hour and a half yesterday. Hour and a half-ish today. And the reason I'm plucking these needles, it's a combination of looking at my old growth, which is looking kind of scraggly, and we don't want to look like that going into a show. Part of it is cleaning up the joints between my side branches and my branches so that it is easier to get that fine wire in there without crushing needles. Because when we crush needles, they will bronze up. And it's also controlling where future buds might develop. On most conifers, if you don't leave any needles in a spot, it's not going to develop any shoots there. So if there's a spot where it would be particularly disadvantageous, like the crotch of a side branch, we'll pluck those out. I don't know what it is, but I open my mouth and people click away. Just gonna take a moment, show you guys where we're at. Let's see. Can we... Real good look at that foliage. Okay, that's the front. That's where our foliage is currently at. So one thing my eye is really coming to is you can definitely tell where wire has come off. Things have just kind of started popping up here. So when we're coming through, we're gonna bring that stuff down to about a 15 to maybe 45-degree angle of descent. 45 is definitely the more extreme side. I don't think that'll be needed. But we're gonna kind of clean this up, get some definition when we do that detail wire. Before I call it for today though, I'm going to spin this around and try to look at it from some angles that maybe aren't so great for y'all, but will let me see some of the spots I missed while I was doing my needle plucking. And I'm going to do some very light shoot selection. Anything that is particularly flawed or crowding out a spot, I'm going to get out. And to make those choices, I'm actually going to try and look at my tree through the camera because generally it is easier to pick up on those things with some space. So I have my monitor just off the side here, which will let me kind of see what y'all have. Give me one moment here. So my eye is being drawn right about here. This is going to need to be broken up, but I don't think it needs to be trimmed at all. This way though, that one can definitely go. Get that out. Down. Where is this one coming right at the camera? Oh, okay, that's its own separate thing. So we'll get you out of the way for the moment. Try and get you to read as a separate thing. Like that. Okay, that's good. Coming up this way. This is an old failed shoot. Screwing off the bottom. Yeah, that feels neater. Kick that forward. Back to here. Nope, you don't get to go that way at all. So I'm gonna take this wire off. This will get rewired with everything else. Probably next week if you're interested in seeing how that goes. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, because when we're doing show wire, it's a little bit different than just wiring. Really, it's just more of an emphasis on keeping it looking pretty. Ooh, that is sharp. Hey, is this any? Ooh, let's turn that down. Hi, I'm so sorry about that. Um, my normal mic just died while it was plugged into the camera. That's on me. Thank you so much for the heads up, Patricia. Whew. Uh, Completely lost whatever my train of thought was there, but again, thank you for that heads up. Is the audio coming out okay now? I don't typically use this microphone for streaming. This is more of my editing mic. I haven't really fiddled with it for this application. I hope we're good. Oh, I think I was just saying that the stress of getting married and moving is really getting to me, and I'm glad that bonsai is a coping skill. Raise the level of yes, ma'am. How about now? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been trying to put effort into like raising the quality each time I do this. And also just making sure I have time to do this. It's very hard when sometimes I don't even know what my day's going to look like until a client texts me that, oh, I'm on my way to the airport. And it's like, ah, there go my plans. I was going to edit today, but that's all right. Oh. And I know we just went through all that fuss with the microphone, but it's just about time for me to get moving, and I think I'm reaching a stopping point here. Um, this weekend, I'm gonna go get a shop vac and record a video showing you guys how to soji. So if that's interesting to you, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you know when that goes up next week. And then some point next week, we'll do a live stream or two working on that fine wiring and bringing all of this stuff that just started poking straight up again back down to at least a horizontal level. For right now, I think this is where we're gonna stop with this tree. And thank you so much, Patricia. You know what? You might be like the one person who will appreciate this, so I'd love to share this story. Um, I posted about this a little bit, but um, in my opinion, this is a very feminine spruce. And last summer, I believe, a friend of mine had come down to the nursery I work at, and she had brought this tree to work on over the course of the workshop and was like, I just hate this tree. He's Mr. Irredeemable. I don't even know like where to start. And I thought maybe thinking of this spruce as a mister was part of where we were going wrong there, because this is just very feminine to me. And so I did try to kind of change that philosophy and like how to even view the tree, because she was thinking about like, oh, how can I get this thing, get the bark plated up and da 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 da, and it's like, well, you don't just do that. Um, so I kind of want to play with this as a trans tree, right? So at the base, got just this gnarly deadwood coming out at the junction of all the trunks going on, and we just have our slender elegant feminine tops, and I'm hoping over time I'm going to be like exposing more and more of this up here and shortening it through successive repots. But I'm hoping to cultivate like a particularly gnarled, masculine, unpretty, unrefined root mass. I think it would just be kind of fun to have that gender interplay. I don't know, maybe others would disagree, but oh well. Anyways, that's enough rambling. Thank you so much for joining the stream with me today, guys. You have a good one. I'll catch you soon.